Good morning, Mr. Prasad. Your lecture is called The Art of Attraction. For a small business or even a student starting a personal brand today, what is the absolute first step to creating content that actually attract people?
Yes. So when it comes to a startup, so what I will suggest is that initially, whatever the business that you are in, if it's a startup, if it's a grown company, the first thing is to understand your target audience. So the best thing is you have to go through a thorough research about the market. When you're entering into a new market, you have to understand the competition, the existing players within the market, and also on top of that, you really need to understand your target audience. Basically, you need to understand what their requirements are, what they look for, and you need to cater to whatever their requirements, and then you will be able to succeed in whatever the field that you're in. So initially, the first thing that for myself also, when we are creating strategies, the first thing that we do is to understand the market and also the target audience, and we again need to understand the key personas of whatever the business you are in. You need to understand, you need to deep down and break down into your target audiences and need to understand who your customer personas are. So that way you will be actually able to cater to your target audience in a profitable manner.
Okay. In your experience with digital strategy, what is the single biggest mistake you see companies make when they try to use content to sell their products?
Yes, the biggest mistake that this is actually not a mistake, this is actually misconception within the industry, where most of the brands think when they post something on social media, they think, okay, they are going to get sales. So just by posting on social media doesn't mean that you are actually going to get profits. So basically on social media, what you do is that you are building the brand presence on social media, that you create conversations on social media that you exist. Okay, there is a brand like this, so you create conversations among the target audiences. Okay, we exist, we have this product, we have this service and all that. You are basically go through a storytelling process. So that is again that we really need to understand, because creating sales or making sales through social media is actually a gradual process and it takes time. So just being on social media, again, you are not actually going to make sales. So that again need to be understood by the brands as well. So social media is there to tell your story to your people. So before you sell a product, you need to understand the emotions of your target audiences. Yes.
We all see likes, shares, and views, but how do you know if your content is truly working as a salesperson? And what's a simple metric or sign that students should look for to see if their content is actually effective?
Yes. So when it comes to measuring the effectiveness of social contents, so in agencies, what we normally do is that the most common practice is to count the number of likes, count the number of shares and engagement and all that. So these are actually surface level metrics that we are actually looking into. But the thing is that if you really need to make a sale out of a content that you create, the best thing is that you need to understand if your content is used by the target audience as a reference. For example, if you are able to create a word of mouth, so which is actually the most powerful asset when it comes to conversations. If you are using content, videos and all that, that again leads to a word of mouth where people are actually talking about your brand. If you are able to make that conversation within your target audience, where people are talking, where people are going to a shop or to a person and they're asking, taking your whatever the content as a reference, okay, I need this, I need that. So that is where we can actually measure. That is actually very difficult to measure, but still, if you can create conversations beyond online, where you are creating offline conversations, then actually we can assume that our content has succeeded.
The world of digital marketing is always changing, dynamic. What is one trend maybe related to AI or video that you are most excited about, and how will it change the art of attraction in the next few years?
Yes, so in this evolving AI generations and all that, so what I believe is that there are many tools when it comes to AI. Also, there are many tools. So the most common ones are ChatGPT, Midjourney and all that. So the thing is that there is always a human interaction behind. So if you need to get the maximum out of an AI tool, what we believe as industry people and people who are in the industry already, what we believe is that if you are actually able to create a good prompt, if you really need to understand what the requirement, if you have what, for example, if you're creating a video content, if you know basic requirements of creating a video, as a professional videographer, you should understand the frames, you should understand the color balance and all that. If you have some kind of an understanding about these technical requirements when it comes to video production, and if you have some kind of an understanding in English, if you combine both these skills together, you can actually get a good result out of the whatever the tool that you are in. So that is again what I'm actually referring to is prompt engineering, so which is going to be good demand generating field in the future. So what I think is that if you master your field, if you master your skills in prompt engineering, that will be very effective in the coming years when it comes to AI evolving.
For the students listening who are inspired to follow a career path like yours in digital and strategic planning, what is the one skill they should focus on developing right now while they are still at university?
Yes, so myself as a digital strategist, what I always do is that other than social media, we actually deep dive into research. So that is what we actually do when it comes to, for example, if we get a brand brief, what we first do is that we need to understand whatever the business, because we are not actually aware of all the businesses that exist. So when we get a brief, what we do is that we initially have a simple discussion with the client and we understand their perspective also. Then we go into a deeper research when it comes to their competition. If they are launching a new brand, what are the other competitors and the target audience? I'm always referring to target audience because that is that is actually the most important part when it comes to any business. And again, we try to check dots. There are different dots here and there. For example, we need to understand the requirements of the industry. We need to understand the requirements of the people, and then we have a solution. So there are different solutions as well where we have different dots. And when it comes to the client side, the customer side also, they have different requirements which are dots. So as a strategist, what we do is that we need to understand how we are going to connect these dots together, and that is where we are creating a good strategy, where we give a solution to whatever customer through whatever the service that we have. So basically what we do is that we are giving solutions to the people, not just an ad, not just a Facebook post. Okay, if you are just publishing a Facebook post, that is not the role of a digital strategist. That is just a role of a social media executive. So if you need to become a digital strategist, you need to understand how to research a market, how to conduct a consumer research and all that. So basically this is based on research. So if you are able to understand the requirements and the solutions, and if you are able to connect these things together and synchronize these things together with a creative manner, then you can become a good strategist.
Thank you, Mr. Wendslot.
Thank you.